everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Am I Doing This Wrong? This is an exciting change of events because we have another guest for our side hustle shorts. You know, we really trying to get into this. Yes. And I'm so excited to be here with our guest today, Genise, which we will learn all about who this is, what she be doing, where she be doing it at, and how you can find her. So how are you doing?
I am doing well. It's a new day and it's a different day for me. So
Okay. Okay, we love that. We love a new day and we love a good day. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
So we are
yeah.
going to jump right into it. So basically on this episode and just like our other side hustle summer shorts episodes, we just want to learn all about people in our lives that we have either been connected with. Genise, I actually met through a mutual friend, and that was like 2 years ago, which is crazy to say. Girl,
Mhm.
time. We've coined something on this show, and it's basically BC is now before COVID. Okay, Be- because we got new terms. Okay, everything is either it happened before COVID or it's after
Yeah.
COVID. Okay, so we met after COVID, I will say. And ever since then, I was like, I got to know more about this person. And so I'm so excited to be interviewing Genise today. So let's just go on ahead and jump into that first question. And so basically, even though Side Hustle Summer Shorts is about, yeah, things that you do on the side, a lot of people that we're interviewing actually, their side hustles have become their main hustle, which is really cool. So go on ahead and give the people a little bit more about yourself. What do you do? How would you describe your work? I'll let you take it away.
Okay. So actually, as of today, I only have one job. I've always had more than one job.
Ooh,
And so today is the first day that I've only had one job, and I've made my side hustle my main, like this is my main thing. So this is today. Like this is new. I had time today, I
yes.
had time today. So I guess by trade, I was a visual merchandiser for Herschel, the bag company, and
Ooh, okay.
I have like many a bags, but they don't pay
Gotcha.
me, so I'm not going. Okay, okay, come on, Spike.
That part.
Uh, so I've been doing that, and then I also am an assistant to a record label that has signed a really cool up and coming group. So that
Nice.
I'm doing, which is a change of pace for me, and I'm kind of like learning as I go, but it's really cool
Ooh,
because it's still in the creative space. It's a different creative space,
yes.
but it's still in the creative space. And so I told myself things were picking up with them,
Hmm.
and the merchandising, it was fun, but I told myself, this this isn't it's not my end goal.
Okay.
So so I guess my side hustle, I'm not at the question, child.
That's okay. This is your episode.
So my side hustle, I guess you could call it content creation. Child,
Okay.
I live in the rough side, so you might hear some sirens. But content creation. And so
Okay.
I have a talk show on Instagram and YouTube called The Jump Off, which focuses on mental health. And then I do comedic shorts. And then I also, that's is not out yet. I've started to write scripts to do like actual shorts and different things. So I was like, I'm trying to do all this stuff while having two jobs and trying to do somebody's self-care. I don't know what that was. So I said I'm gonna just let go of that one, and I'm really gonna focus on making this content my main thing, because it it's something that I think for me and my mental health, which
Mm.
is what I talk about on my talk show, it was suffering. And so just seeing
Mm.
myself trying to juggle it all,
Yep.
like we need to get it together. What is that? You hustling, but you not hustling forward. Like I was
Mm.
in diagonals every which way.
Yes,
So
yes.
yes, that's my hustle. Or well,
Interesting. Okay, and yes, and there's so much to talk about. That's why I'm so excited to have you on because that was one of the best things when I first started following you after we had connected through a mutual friend. I realized I was like, this is a modern day like jack of all trades, as they say, right? Like I looked at your content and I was like, I can tell that this personality plus like your vision and your comedic talent, girl. It's a talent. It really is. It really is a talent out here. I just could tell, and plus it just being so real and relatable. I was like, I bet you if I dove deeper into what she actually does, she's going to have a few different avenues that could work. So thank you so much for giving us that. And also, we are very big on mental health. We do mental health check ins. We
Yes.
talk very heavily about therapy because, one, therapy is not accessible to everyone. And so, if you can have, whether it's a podcast or a YouTube show or whatever it is, even a short on Instagram, honestly, that like talks about it, I think it just brings it to the forefront and we can all, get a little bit more out of that. So, yes, we are here for that. Wonderful. Okay, great. And so, number two, what made you decide to start your side hustle? And you can talk about any of the myriad things you've talked about.
So, um, there, because then I also was like, I guess, well, I don't really do hair on the side, but I try and hustle that way too. But because I'm broke. um, but speaking to the mental health and therapy and those resources not being accessible,
Mhm.
I always wanted to have a talk show, but when I started my talk show, I was in therapy, and then a couple months in, I couldn't afford it anymore, and so I had to stop. So
Yep.
I figured my way to continue, I talk to myself all the time, but my way to continue to talk to myself, but have a conversation and hear other perspectives, because that's how I learn, is
Mm.
hearing other people see the world and see a situation. Because me talking to me, I'd be like, girl, you was right. And I'd be like, sure was. Well, then. And, nothing gets solved, or I don't grow. So I
Mm.
wanting to create conversation to help myself grow.
Mhm.
And people would be like, oh, I really related to that. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm like, I'm the only one going through this. And it's
Mhm.
and so that then I continued on with it, because I saw people were responding to it. Now I'm no Oprah, no Ellen DeGeneres, but still, for people to, if I was taking a break, and I know y'all took a break on y'all show, I was watching the episode, and
Mhm.
so I'll save that for a little bit. But uh, people are like, "Oh, when's the next episode?" And I'm like, "Oh, like people actually care."
Yes.
So um, that I started out for myself, but then it kind of grew to like, this isn't just for me. And
Mm.
I feel like my goal in life, or one of my goals in life or purposes, is to make sure that nobody feels alone, because I know exactly how that feels.
Mhm.
So if me speaking to a camera by myself in this room and putting it on YouTube helps somebody else, then there's that. And then with creating the like comedic content,
Mhm.
uh, I'm an actor, but so I had an agent,
Okay.
and I'm thinking, oh, I got an agent. We finna be on. The agent was sending me out to things that weren't, like, I had a Power Ranger audition, so I'm like, oh shoot, okay, Power Ranger. I ain't finna be kicking and flipping and nothing like that. But that's cool. But I was going out for the 40-year-old scientist, and I'm like, now I look a little more like the high school students. But okay. And so it's just like they didn't get me. And so
Mm.
they sat me down and they were like, well, we don't really know how to place you. Your comedy is not Tiffany Haddish. It's not Melissa McCarthy, but it's like somewhere kind of over there, maybe. Like, I don't.
Mm.
So I said, I'm just going to start creating my own stuff, because nobody understands me better than me. Now, some of the stuff is not funny to me that I put out, but it's just relatable. And then,
Mm.
oh,
Yeah.
this is funny. But it's me trying to create for myself, because as of right now, nobody's creating for people that look like me. Like,
Ooh.
specifically me and my comedy, as a
Mhm.
Black woman, as a plus size woman, like,
Mhm.
there really nobody there. So
Mm.
I'm like, well, if y'all ain't finna do it, I'm finna do it myself.
Ooh, love that. And I love that you didn't just succumb to like, well, maybe I should just be that older person, or maybe I should just be that character that I'm getting sent to. It's like, no, I'm going to stay true to what I do and make those lanes for myself. I love that. That's a great point. Okay, wonderful. And number three, which you did kind of touch on, but if you could elaborate, what was your main goal when starting your side hustle and has it changed?
I'll say with the talk show, it's generally stayed the same, to help
Okay.
myself and to help other people. It just kind of grew a little bit, but I'm still trying myself because I still haven't been back to therapy, and it's been, I think, like 3 or 4 years now.
Okay.
But I just this week I got new insurance a little bit ago, and I looked at it and I found a Black therapist, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna call him. I'm so excited. I'm gonna call him this week. Um,
Yes.
but for the comedic stuff, it started out at first being like, y'all ain't gonna cast me, so I'll cast myself. But then as I started to explore different things, like viewpoints that I thought were normal but were missing, and like the suburban Black kid who wasn't always with the white kids but was a little too white for the Black kids, but not just that, like in between.
Yeah.
And it's just like the comedy of just like being at a party and then being like,
Mhm.
yeah, no, okay, what's up, y'all good, okay, no, all right, I'm gonna just be. And so it's just like those little, the random viewpoints that you don't really think about or you don't see. So then I was like, okay, there's something in this,
Mhm.
because whenever I do something or whatever, people are like, oh, that was funny, I never thought about that. So then now I kind of wanted to shift because I'm starting my own production company. And I'm so excited about that. And I want to shift, and I haven't said any, I've said things to people in passing. So I guess this will be my little world. So I want to Genise. So my name, if you break it up phonetically,
Mhm.
it phonetically spells out Genise, like je ne sais quoi. I know that starts with a J, but if
Okay.
you phonetically break my name out, so I'm like, it's that something, that's something
Ah.
there. And so I want that to be a production company of content for
Ooh.
the people that they got something, we don't know what it is, but
Mhm.
it's something, and people might pass that over, or you might not know what to do with it, but it's
Right.
just something. And
Ooh.
so I want to explore that something now, not just creating stuff just because, like, oh, I just want to do this because I want to do it, but really like diving into the stories that are just, it's us, like
Yes.
it's us. Yeah.
Right. Ooh, love that. And yes, it's like it's evolving, right? Like you're coming up with new ideas on the way to do what you set out to do. Girl,
Yeah.
and just claps to the starting your production company because if they can't do it, you can do it for yourself. That's wonderful. Okay, cool. And I guess number 4 as well, you kind of started on. So is your goal to make this your main hustle? So you can talk about anything that you've already discussed. We can also skip this question, completely up to you.
I'll be as brief as I can be. Uh, I since I still, of course, in LA, you still have to pay somebody's rent, and I am no influencer or no YouTube star, so
Hmm.
I do still have a actual job.
Hmm.
It's not a regular job, but it's still a job.
Hmm.
But because I have a lot of free time now, starting today, I'm like, I'm gonna work and put my energy into making this my main hustle, if you will.
Hmm.
Because I love this is connected but not connected, but I'm a build this bridge to connect it. How the title of the show, every time I start to second guess myself of, can I actually do this full time? Like, is this something that I could do and not have a job? Because I've always had multiple jobs,
Hmm.
and it's kind of like a thing to take me away from those jobs.
Hmm.
So as I shift into making this like full-time thing,
Hmm.
I'm like, well, am I doing this right? Like, how I look at people on the internet now and I'm like, I don't know how they got from here to there. I don't know how they did that. And
Right.
maybe I'm not doing this right,
Hmm.
but the time that I have now, I'm like, you know what? I'm in my 30s. And so I'm like, I what else am I doing?
Right.
And if
Right.
it's not for me, then it's gonna be for somebody else. And then ain't nobody doing nothing for me. So
Hmm.
uh, it's gonna be, I'ma speak it, I'ma say it, because it's
Yes.
gonna be, this is my main hustle. And I'ma always call it a hustle.
Yes.
I don't think I'm ever gonna be like, oh yeah, this is my job, or this is my, I mean, it's a job, but it's my hustle. I like that
Yes.
call it that.
Yes. And like you said even earlier, right? Like before you were hustling in so many different directions that it wasn't really forward, right? It was like, I'm doing all this stuff and I can relate, because it's almost like every opportunity seems like, well, this could be everything, right? And at some point, especially when you're talking about outside of the traditional 9 to 5, you have to decide, like, okay, everything can't be it. Right? Like, I have to
Right.
decide, what do I feel is going to keep me, one, most true to myself and what I want to do, right? But also get me to success and paying the bills, because yes, we we are not immune. Okay. We are not immune. On to the next question. So how do you promote your side hustle?
Woo. Listen, I'm you have to run more than one social media account, baby.
Mm, mm-mm.
Job in itself. So I have an account for my show. Listen, I be getting lost in the sauce. I ain't even gonna hold you. I'll be like, dang it, I forgot to put this on Facebook. And then, oh man, I'll wake up in the like, did I put it on Facebook? Let me just check. I will use all of my social medias to promote my other social medias.
Mhm.
And I'm one for very much organic growth. Like, now in my mind, I'm like, just pay for some followers, Genise, just do it. But
Mhm.
then I'm also like, no, that's not. If people didn't rock with it, then people didn't rock with it. So then that tells me, I was watching. Now, see, I'm real bad at. I was watching this masterclass, never finished, but I've started that first lesson. Well, that first video, and it said, you can, that feedback that you get from, if people watch them, then that can help you tailor your content. So I just want it to be organic. So I don't know, it's something about, I'm not one to, and I'm not knocking anybody, I
Mhm.
just don't have the goal, if you
Mhm.
will, to do it, to reach out to people like, hey, can you like this, or hey, can you comment on this, or hey, can you share this? I just, for me, that just is something I can't, my lips can't, or my fingers can't fix themselves to say that.
Right.
But I will just promote. I'll tag myself to then promote myself on this. I'll hit up Instagram, I'll hit up Facebook.
Mhm.
uh I just kind of started to understand TikTok, but it might miss me on that one, because I feel like it's a, you, if you ain't caught up, like, it's the
It,
highway, you just like,
it,
I'm just like roadkill on the side, like, just sweep me to the side. Hell, but I try to cross over all of them, and
okay.
yeah.
Honestly, look, we are also trying to do the same thing, where we're like, I feel like I know all the side streets, and that is like Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
Facebook. But something about TikTok really does seem fast lane. And I'm like, am I just that old lady doing 55? Like, I might just have to commit to that.
That side street, I'm side street. That's, yeah, yeah, yeah. But see, with the side street, I'll be looking at it like, with the side streets, you still gonna get there.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Yes. We might have to take a different route,
Yeah.
we might have to go under some bridges, but we gonna get there. So I definitely agree with that. And I will, if you do have a TikTok account, I'll start following you, because what I'm trying to do now is actually follow, like, people of our generation, like millennials on TikTok, cuz like they don't really do what Zoomers
Yeah.
do on TikTok. You know what I mean? Like, they
Yeah.
do kind of do it differently, but I
But
still feel kind of getting
yeah,
passed by. But I'm gonna follow you, so we gonna throw that out there at the end too.
yeah. Because I was like, I I had to go to my trainer. I was like, where, that page where you click on the thing and then it says all the trending stuff. And she was like I was just explaining all this, and she's like the homepage, and I was like, you know what? I'ma just don't even worry about it. And
I
it,
was,
but I agree with what you're saying. Like our generation, it's like I can tell that they kind of struggling, like I'm struggling, but they might have it. But I'm, so yeah, I like that.
right, exactly. So, oh, yeah, we gonna definitely throw out your information at the end. So wonderful. Okay, cool. And then, now that we get to this part, so what piece of advice would you give to someone who wants to pursue their own side hustle?
Child, I and you know what I was about to do? I was about to do this, and I have to snatch myself up by the neck, because I was about to say, well, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know if I'm doing it right. Um, but then I have to look at when I first started. I would have looked at somebody like myself and been like, dang, how did they get there? How am I going to get there?
We're
I know.
looking at you, Genise. We're looking at you right now. Like, give us a piece of advice.
Stop it. I I know people say just get started, like that's something that people say. So for me though, yes, get started, but it's okay if it doesn't look like what you want it to look like, because you have to start somewhere. I get so caught up in, if it doesn't look like this, and what this looks like is some 4K high def, blockbuster movie, and if it doesn't look like that, then I don't want to put it out. I don't want it, and so I get very caught up on that. And my teacher, he passed away, but he, in one of our few classes, or one of our early classes, not few because I was in that anyway, one of our early classes, I was saying like, oh, I wanted this talk show or whatever, and he was like, well, why don't you have one? And then of course I'm like, well, because I don't have a studio, I don't have a da da da. He was like, well, you have an apartment and you have a camera and you have a phone. And I was like, yeah, but I don't have anybody, to do this and do that. And I just kept coming up with excuses. And so then it got to this point where I was at home and I was like, yeah, why can't I do this? So then I said, you know what, I'm gonna buy this chair. So I got this director's chair, and that's like been the pivot. That's the chair. Once I got the chair, then I was like, oh, now I don't have any, I can't make any excuses, because I told myself I just have to have this. So I don't know if it's just starting with little goals of, okay, I'm gonna start start with the video, and then I'm gonna learn how to edit the videos. Then I'm gonna, get a better set or whatever it is, but just start, because how you want it to look in your mind, it's not that it's never going to get there, but it's going to evolve so much that that's literally just the starting point. So if you start there and you're reaching for that, you're, even if you don't reach that exact height, as you are coming down, you're going to grab a bunch of different ideas. And so how I wanted this talk show to look when I first started is not what it looks like now, but also in that, trying to lay out the path, because I also think you got to be specific and write down exactly how it is, so then you can break that down into steps. In that, I learned a structure. Now the structure is a little bit different now, and I've taken a break, and that's another piece of advice, because I was listening to y'all and y'all were like, well, we took a mental health break. That's something that, because I do it all by myself, I'm literally like, so this is my second piece of advice, is I'm really like, just push through. And I'm like yelling at myself, like, push through. And I'll be like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I can't do it one more day. And it's just forth with me. So I'm like, editing is where you lose me at. So I'll be at the computer like, I can't do this. And I'm just trying, but I'm like, I gotta do it. I gotta. So not feeling bad about taking those mental health breaks is, I guess that would be my most important, because you're going to need those, especially if you're doing it yourself.
Yes.
But that goes hand in hand with what I said before, because I was so caught up with it being perfect that anxiety of, oh, this is not like this, so I can't do this, nobody's going to like it. I was getting caught up and burning myself out about that. So then I would take these breaks, and the breaks wouldn't be planned. And so then, like, I'm on a break right now, but now I have to understand that if you take care of yourself, the product is going to improve. Yeah.
That's a soundbite right there. I mean, we're just that's gonna be the real. That was wonderful. Yes, exactly. Like, that is one of the toughest parts. And it sounds weird. And I know a lot of times it's like, oh, okay, like breaks, like that's not hard. No, it really truly is, because when it's only you worrying about this product, nobody else, ain't no boss going to tap you on the shoulder and be like, hey, you got to get this in by 5. And sometimes I really feel like I need somebody tapping me on the shoulder, telling me it's going to be done. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, but if it's not going to be done today and you just don't have the bandwidth, let it not be done today, right? Because you can get back to it. So snaps on that. That was excellent. Thank you. All right, wonderful. Okay, and so before we get to plugging all the information that you have, or all the social media that you have and everything, was there any point in time that you felt like you were doing this wrong?
This morning, I it's, people say, or there's advice out there that says, don't recreate the wheel. Look at somebody else who's doing what you're doing and follow that. Now I've heard that many a times, but then I'm also like, so I watched Issa Rae's masterclass. So I watched this thing like, oh man, I'm finna get everything. It was a lot of good information, but I also feel like there was a gap there. And I'm like, like, okay. But I because it's just me, I feel like I'm always doing something wrong because the other, whatever side of the brain it is like, well, you should have made it by now.
Ooh.
And so it's like, you have all of the resources. We are in a day and age where YouTube University is a thing. Can talk to people who are entrepreneurs, whatever. So I look at myself and I'm like, I have all of these resources.
Mhm.
Why am I not popping how I'm supposed to think I'm popping?
Mhm.
So I think it's not that I was doing it wrong. It was like, I think that I have to shift my focus from, it's not that I feel like I'm doing it wrong and have to beat myself up about it. It's like, this is the lesson phase. So this is the time where I learn what works for me or what doesn't work for me, because what works for me may not work for the next person, and what works for them doesn't work for me, but both of us could arrive at the same place with just different structures. And so I was definitely going off of, like, I'm not a structured person, although lie and tell myself that. So whenever somebody gives me advice about, oh, you should do this and this, and it doesn't hook for me. So now I have to realize that I seen this clip today on Master P's page on his Instagram, and the guy who was speaking was like, you have to learn how to master and operate in chaos. And
Ooh.
when I heard that, I was like, that is it. Like,
Mhm.
that's for me what it is. Some people can't do that. But
Right.
for me, like, that's where I need to learn from people who know how to do it in chaos,
Ooh.
because that's how my mind, because my mind is all over the place. I can't even keep up with my own mind.
Right.
So I'm just constantly in chaos and finding that. So I always feel like I'm
Mm.
doing it wrong, but I also have to give myself grace to be like, but you're learning what doesn't work, or you're learning
Yeah.
what does work. So it's not wrong. It's just not right for this moment.
Oh, yes. 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 And yes. That's it. That's it. I mean, that's a word right there. And that is wonderful. Operating in chaos. That's wonderful. And what we said on a past episode actually is we're always trying to create routines and like perfect our craft so that we can quiet the chaos. Like we've talked about that before. And that just speaks to that because it's like it's not going away. Okay. The chaos is gonna be there no matter what I do. No matter what project I do, especially outside of traditional routes. And all I'm trying to do is find something that works for me so that I can quiet that chaos. So wonderfully said. All right, awesome. And so we are to the end of this side hustle summer short. So please, before we wrap this episode up, let us know where the good people can find you and all about your side hustles, whatever you got. Where can we find you?
Ooh, okay. So on Instagram, my main page is at it's Genise, like ITS Genise with a G. My show page is there in that bio, but it is at the underscore jump off, or it's underscore the jump off.
Got it.
Um, and then on TikTok at it's Genise, Twitter at it's Genise, and YouTube is just, if you type in Genise, it should pop up because nobody has my name. So yeah, there's that, and I'm always open to connect and to work with people. I'm gonna have y'all on the show too once I get my structure together,
Yeah.
because but I want to just connect with anybody that's willing to talk, because that's how you see the world, when you speak to other people who don't see the world like you. So
Yes, wonderful. Exactly. And that's what we always like to let people know. If you're comfortable with it, reach out to Janice, at least follow her, see what she's doing. And if it's anything like what you want to do, or like you said, if it's something completely different and it might just give you that inspiration for a whole new, market, please reach out to Genise. She's wonderful, has me cracking up on the daily. And like you said, it's not always comedy, but it is always relatable. It is always something that I'm like, wow, I get exactly where she's coming from. So, first of all, thank you so much for doing this for us. We really appreciate it. And we can't wait to feature you on our social media. And if you like this episode, everyone, as you all know, please follow us, like, subscribe, comment wherever you get your podcasts. We really appreciate it. Follow us on YouTube at Am I Doing This Wrong? And if you have any questions for Genise, of course, reach out to her specifically, or you can email us at wrongthepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, but we ain't gotten into the TikTok yet, but I'll let y'all know when we do get into that, because now it's like something burning. I'm like, ooh, we might need to get into that. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning in for this episode, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.